Welcome to CBSE English Tutorial, a visual guide.
Well, let's be honest, we are drowning in information, right? You see charts on the news, graphs and work reports. Data is literally everywhere you look. But how often do we actually stop and think, what story is this data trying to tell me? Well, today we're going to learn a simple but really powerful technique to turn all that noise into clear, objective meaning. So, here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about that feeling of data overload. Then, I'm going to introduce you to your new best friend, the analytical paragraph. We'll check out all the different types, I'll give you the exact language you need to sound like a pro, and then we'll put it all together with a real-world example. Sound good? Let's dive in.
All right, let's start with a challenge I think we all face. It's that moment you're staring at some complex chart and you're just thinking, okay, I see the lines and the numbers, but what does any of it mean?
Yeah, we get hit with stuff like this all the time, but turning that raw information into an actual insight, that's the real skill. It's about going beyond just seeing the data to actually analyzing it, objectively, and finding that hidden story. And that's exactly the gap we're going to bridge today.
So what's the secret? How do we do it? Well, it's with a simple but incredibly effective tool called the Analytical Paragraph.
Now, here's the key thing to remember. An analytical paragraph is not about your opinions. It's a structured way to describe and analyze what you actually see. The keywords here are objective and analyze. Think of yourself as a detective. You're just presenting the facts of the case, based purely on the evidence right in front of you. In the best part, it has a super simple three-part structure that's easy to remember. First, you've got your topic sentence. This just introduces the main idea. What is this chart all about? Second is the body. This is where you dive into the details, describe the key points, and really analyze the data. And finally, the conclusion, where you wrap it all up with a neat, logical summary. That's it. 1, 2, 3. Simple, right? But wait, it gets even more useful. See, there isn't just one kind of analytical paragraph. You should think of it more like a toolkit, with a whole bunch of different attachments for every kind of analytical job you might run into. And this toolkit is seriously versatile, whether you're crunching numbers, comparing a couple of maps, explaining a process, or even pitching a solution, there's a specific paragraph type built just for that. This is not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. It's all about picking the right tool for the job. Let's look at a few in action.
So, for instance, let's say you're staring down a classic bar graph or a pie chart packed with numbers. You're going to want to reach into that kit and pull out the database tool.
This is probably the one you'll end up using the most. It's designed specifically to pull out the key trends, the big figures, and the important comparisons from raw numbers and, you guessed it, turn them into a story that actually makes sense.
But hey, data isn't always just static numbers on a page. What if you need to explain how something works, step by step? For that, you'll need the Process Description tool.
This tool is perfect for taking a complex flowchart, like this one showing how fuel gets to a gas station, and just breaking it down into a clear, logical sequence. It's all about explaining the how.
And of course, one of the most common things we have to do is compare stuff. For those times you need to put two ideas side by side and see how they really stack up, you'll grab the Similarities and Differences tool.
This one is absolutely essential. It helps you objectively point out what's similar and what's different between two sets of information, like in this great comparison of type 1 and type 2 diabetes. It's all about making a clear, balanced comparison.
Okay, so you know the structure, and you've got your toolkit of paragraph types. Now for the fun part. Let's get you the actual words. It's time to stock up your writing toolkit with some must-have phrases.
When you're describing trends, you don't have to use the same boring word over and over again. So instead of just saying it went up, you can say something has risen, or it experienced a rise, or maybe it reached a maximum. These little phrases make your analysis sound so much more precise and professional.
And the same thing goes for comparisons. Having the right language on hand helps you show really clear relationships between data points. Using phrases like as compared to or pointing out striking similarities just elevates your analysis from a simple list of facts to a really meaningful comparison.
All right, theory is great, but let's see how this all works in the real world. For this last section, we're going to do a live deconstruction of an analytical paragraph, piece by piece.
So check this out. Here's a pie chart showing what students are actually doing during their online classes. The big question is, how do we turn this picture into a solid, structured, analytical paragraph?
We always start with our topic sentence. See how this immediately sets the stage?
It tells us what the data is, a pie chart, where it came from, a survey of 1,000 students, and what it's about, how teens are taking online classes. Boom, no confusion, just pure clarity right from the start.
Next up is the body, and this is where you use specific data to build your case. Notice it doesn't just say a lot of students are serious. No, it says a majority of respondents, 45%. It doesn't say some students mute themselves. It says a little under 1/5, 18%. This is where you present the cold, hard evidence straight from the chart.
And finally, the conclusion. Based on all that evidence we just presented in the body, the writer draws a totally logical summary. Since a big chunk of students aren't fully engaged, the paragraph concludes that more work is needed. It's a powerful final thought that is 100% supported by the data.
Look, at the end of the day, learning how to write an analytical paragraph isn't just some boring academic exercise. It's a life skill, for real. It's how you make a persuasive argument at work using company data. It's how you can critically look at a news report and see what's really going on. It's just a tool for clearer, more objective thinking in everything you do.
So, the next time you see a chart or a graph, don't just glance at it. Stop for a second and ask yourself, what story is this data just waiting to tell me? Because now you have the tools to find out.
Welcome to this lesson on Analytical Paragraph Writing. In this presentation, we will learn the format, structure, and marking scheme for writing a high-scoring analytical paragraph. This skill is extremely important in examinations because it tests your ability to interpret data clearly and logically. Let us now understand what an analytical paragraph really means. An analytical paragraph is a formal piece of writing in which we interpret data presented in charts, graphs, tables, or diagrams. It is not about storytelling or giving personal opinions. Instead, it focuses on identifying trends, making comparisons, and drawing meaningful conclusions. All ideas must be written in a single, well-organized paragraph with a clear introduction, body, and conclusion. An analytical paragraph is not just a description of what we see in the chart. It is not a summary of all the data without interpretation. It is also not a place to add personal views or assumptions. Simply listing numbers randomly will not earn marks. Instead, we must analyze patterns and relationships in the data. An analytical paragraph is based only on the information given in the visual. It uses formal and concise language. It highlights important increases, decreases, comparisons, and contrasts. Finally, it ends with a brief summary that clearly states the overall trend shown in the data. A high-scoring analytical paragraph follows a clear structure. First comes the introduction, where we give an overview of the chart or graph. Next is the body, where we explain key trends and comparisons in detail. Finally, we conclude by summarizing the main insight in 1 or 2 sentences. Remember, everything must be written in one single paragraph. The introduction should clearly mention the type of visual given, whether it is a bar graph, pie chart, or table. It should state what the data represents and identify key aspects such as time period or categories. You may begin using phrases like the graph illustrates, the table depicts, or the given data focuses on. This helps create a strong and formal beginning. The body is the most important part of the analytical paragraph. Here, we highlight significant increases or decreases. We compare categories and identify the highest and lowest values. We also point out contrasts and noticeable patterns. Using linking phrases such as, in contrast to, on the other hand, and it is evident that, makes the paragraph smooth and coherent. The conclusion should summarize the key findings without introducing any new information. It should clearly state what the overall data suggests. You may end with phrases like, overall, it can be summarized that, or, in conclusion, the data clearly indicates. A clear conclusion leaves a strong final impression. The analytical paragraph carries a total of 5 marks. 2 marks are given for content. This includes identifying at least 4 clear analytical points and maintaining logical progression. 2 marks are given for organization of ideas. This means using a formal tone, proper sequence, and effective linking words. 1 mark is awarded for accuracy, which includes correct grammar, spelling, and punctuation. Therefore, clarity, structure, and correctness are essential for full marks. Always write only 1 paragraph. Do not use headings inside your answer. Base your analysis strictly on the given data. Use linking words for better flow. Include comparisons and trends. And finally, end with a clear overall conclusion. You are now ready to write a strong analytical paragraph.
Thank you for watching. See you again in a bit.